Thank you, Rona. This is meant to be sort of the technical aperitif before between the more substantive talks. So if I'll try not to bore you to death, and I don't mind if you go to sleep. It's about the substance of problem solving and decision making, and in that we have a lot in common with ABARES. We have a lot of colleagues in ABARES that whose skills to some extent overlap ours, and with whom we work to solve many of the problems that we currently face. We're a cooperative between the University of Melbourne and the Australian Government Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry. My parents are advertising consultants, and they did say get the ad in early, get it in colour, so here it is. The University of Melbourne is the sole supplier of this arrangement, and it comes from the Nairn Review in the late 1990s that Tim mentioned. It is an appeal to, I suppose, our common sense that we really want to target our resources where they're going to do most good. And that requires some technical support. And it's not the kind of technical support you necessarily want to have in-house. We also want to get ahead of the game. Both the Nairn report and the Beale review suggested that Australian biosecurity has the opportunity in particular areas to lead the world in the way in which it thinks about and solves biosecurity problems. And insofar as we're capable, we have the unique opportunity, unlike CRCs and other kinds of research centres, in being a sole supplier, to reach out to anybody to solve any problem. So we really have no excuses if we can't solve a problem. If there's someone at the University of Helsinki or the Technion in Israel who can help us, we reach out and get them and say, can you help us please? And we provide money, we provide opportunities, we provide problems. And the benefit for us, I try to explain to my colleagues in government, I had a day job and I still have a day job. I can go back to it at any moment. The problem I guess the benefit for us is the problems that are provided to us by government. People who live and experience and try and solve problems on a daily basis provide a much sharper focus for your thinking than you can ever come up with by yourself, at least than I can ever come up with by myself. So it's a much richer field for research than sitting in a university and trying to think stuff up, which is kind of cute and might get into a good journal. So this is a ball. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm just going to show you one or two things that have come out of our work. We've been going for 5 years, got another 2 years to run. What might happen after that is up in the air, but we may be involved in the future. I mean, that's not really the point. Our job is to try and coalesce a body of research to provide some useful outputs, and we had 7 years to do it in. Some of the things that we've done in the past have been to develop new tools for spatial analysis using methods, correlation methods that are particularly good at using presence-only information and are particularly good at untangling those dependencies between variables that are very hard to get at in ordinarily sparse and noisy data. And so we have a particular kind of problem in biosecurity arena, and these tools for spatial predictions, where should I find this bug, pest or disease, where should I look next, those kinds of questions are better answered and more efficiently answered with some of these newer tools. We are exploring expert judgment, and I'm very proud to say that we are on the verge of signing a contract with the US government, a bunch of spooks who, I probably shouldn't say this because it's now on camera. Hi guys. Who are interested in expert judgment. That we rely on expert judgment in fields ranging from intelligence and security, that is military security, through biosecurity, to medicine, to ecology and conservation. All scientific disciplines use expert judgment. We can make better use of the experts we have, we can condition them better, we can anticipate the kinds of frailties and weaknesses that experts have, and as a consequence generate an outcome that is closer to the truth and better calibrated than other ways of asking questions. We are working and have produced outcomes for supporting claims of disease freedom, of how to declare when an eradication has been successful, to provide guidance on where we should search for invasive species, pests and diseases, to better engage with stakeholders using devices that have been employed in business for 20 or 30 years that could potentially be deployed in some circumstances in biosecurity. We're working currently on better characterising consequences, because the biosecurity mantra is that we should examine economic consequences defined as broadly as possible. That includes what we narrowly think about as being economic outcomes and environmental outcomes and social and cultural values. They're all part of the things that we're obliged to consider, and we need ways of doing so rationally and consistently. Lastly, I've been working on effective inspection, and that's the stuff that Tim has just been talking about. How to look, where to look, how often to look, how hard to look, so that you're sure that the outcomes serve the objective that you had in mind initially. And I think the effective inspection materials, that topic is a particularly good example of what I mean by the value for us, a university, in engaging with government to do pragmatic research. When we began, they said, we would like you to assist us to design inspection systems that allow us to move from 100% inspections on a rational basis. And we thought, okay, we can do that. Here's a system that provides you with the most effective strategy possible. And they said, well, no, that's not enough. We want to do some other things. We want to make sure that the lines that we're not looking at also deliver a degree of surety. So we not only want to catch as many things as possible, we also want to maintain quality control. We also want to let people know we're looking. There's a certain deterrent associated with the presence of inspections. All three of these things operate together, and it took us nearly a year of dialogue for the university and its great minds to understand what was meant by this very simple prescription. It takes us sometimes a very long time to work stuff out. And when we got it, it was, I think, a very pleasant experience for both of us to be able to develop and then to deploy these tools. And it makes our statisticians, Andrew Robinson and the very able Rob Cannon, very excited to see this stuff being rolled out and developed. And I just hit a button I shouldn't have. I would like to wax. I could talk for 3 days without drawing a breath about any of these topics, so if you'd like me to do so, put your hand up at the end and I will. What's next? The last 2 years, how are we going to make good use of this very precious public money? We are going to work more on effective inspection, the risk return thing. We're going to work more on how to estimate consequences reliably and coherently. We're going to work more on biosecurity intelligence. I'm going to show you a bit more about that in a moment. We're going to do some more on post-border surveillance, decision-making, some training, and stuff on pathway analysis, how to think about how to allocate your effort both along the biosecurity continuum and between pathways to come up with an effective strategy for managing biosecurity risk from the perspective of the organisation as a whole.